infrastructure and real estate. These are two pillars on which the current Indian economy is being built. And in Mumbai, there's a remarkable transformation happening, where a flurry of projects are emerging that are changing the landscape. And at its heart is a truly remarkable company. Meet the AWAS Group, one of the largest and most organized players in the FSI services industry in Mumbai. And its founder is Kunal Chheda, who has more than 20 years of experience in the financial services and real estate industry and is actively pursuing real estate development, strategic consulting, land FSI transaction advisory, and policy advocacy initiatives. His initiatives and his work have aided in fulfilling the twin objectives of the Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana and Slum-Free Mumbai in a big way. His professional journey includes tenures at esteemed organizations such as Vadra Group, Bombay Realty, Omkar Realtors, Urban Infrastructure Venture Capital, Citibank, and Magnum Equity Broking. Let's head into conversation with Kunal Chheda. Marksman Daily presents C-Suite Conversations. We have here with us Kunal Chheda, who is the CEO of AWAS Advisors. Mr. Chheda, thank you so much for being here with us on this episode.
Thank you.
I've read a lot about AWAS Advisors, its journey, your personal journey. Talk to us a little bit about that. What was the seed moment that sparked everything off for you?
Post my master's, through campus placements, I got placed in a firm called Urban Infrastructure Venture Capital. And they were a large real estate private equity fund. Then I went on to work with an actual real estate developer company called Omkar Developers. After that, I worked as executive assistant to Mr. J. Wadia at Bombay Dyeing in Wadia Group. Then I took a break for some time. I started my own business. 6 of our friends, we actually bought a land in Ghatkopar. It was a slum encroached land. And we thought, that was like the eureka moment for us. And we were all very, very excited. Few of us exited our jobs. Few of us were still in their jobs. And we were trying to transition our career journey, and try and achieve business excellence. Right. Unfortunately, things didn't work out over there. And, one of my very close mentors, he advised me to meet Mr. Naveen Makhija at Vadhva. At that time, the group was just splitting. And few of the people from Vadhva had joined the counterpart. And I joined Vadhva Group, Mr. Vijay Vadhva and Naveen Makhija. Worked there for almost 7-8 years. Last, I was the chief operating officer there at Vadhva, heading P&L for 4 projects. And then COVID struck, gave me some time to think about my next move in career. Discussed with my family, and they have been rock solid support for me. And that's when I thought, let me start a new firm of my own. And that's where the idea for AWAS Group kicked in. So I have a bit of mix of both financial services and the real estate side of it. So my business that I wanted to do was, I was very clear that it has to be mix of both.
Of course.
Finance and real estate. Over the period of time, I've been fortunate to have worked with a lot of stalwarts in the industry. To give you, some specific examples, my first boss called Jiten Cheda in Magnum Equity, gem of a person, high on relationships. Next, Maulik Mashkaria, he is the man to go at Citibank Investment Banking. A lot of learnings from him. At Urban Infrastructure Venture Capital, Mr. Parag Parekh, Tushar Sarda, Deepa ma'am. These are the people that have taught me the fundamentals of finance. At Omkar, Mr. Gaurav Gupta, Mr. Devang Verma. Then at Bombay Dyeing, Mr. Nasli Wadia, Jay Wadia. At Vadhva, Mr. Vijay Vadhva, Naveen Makhija. So these are the promoters or the people that I've worked with over the past 15 years of professional journey.
So when it comes to the real estate industry today, the way it's evolved over the past decade and more, what are the biggest pain points? What are the biggest pieces of value that can be added to the industry, and what is the way forward in your view?
Over a period of time, I've worked with some large corporates.
Right.
Citibank, Urban Infrastructure, Wadias. So I understand the corporate side of it very, very well. How they think, how they function, how they work. Versus an industry like FSI, which was very, very traditional oriented business. It was still working on relationships. What I, kind of overviewed as an industry level and the way regulations of real estate have evolved over a period of time, FSI is nothing but a planning instrument.
Yeah.
Land has a bit of potential. Now, that's the inherent potential of the land. Obviously, there are ways to maximize the land potential by taking FSI from other sources, from the market or from the government. So nomenclatures may be very, very different. Like some people call it premium FSI, some people call it TDR, some people call it floating FSI, some call it Mahara surplus, some call it PTC, some call it EWS, some call it affordable housing. Nomenclature may be different, but eventually they are all forms and fashion of FSI. So I thought, these different forms of FSI are there, but inherently they all have one thing in common, which is that you give something to the government will give you FSI. A large part, of projects in suburbs or in South Bombay, they need additional sources of FSI to make them economically viable. That particular problem we had in mind, and at Vadhva, we were able to kind of marry the financial services and the regulatory aspect and create a team of people who were well versed with finance as well as regulations. And that helped us evaluate a lot of projects in a very, very methodical manner.
Right.
Because of which we didn't make the mistakes that a lot of other developers made. Given this background that TDR is going to always be in short supply, what is the alternate form of FSI that needs to be generated to ensure that demand supply dynamics are maintained? So what I actually did was spoke with a lot of developers, spoke with a lot of BMC and SRA ex-officers who had taken either VRS or who had retired. Also through my own R&D team, I worked out some planning standards, we worked out some formulas as to how we can fill this gap. And that gap could be filled by a couple of regulations where if we hand over constructed tenements to the government, either under regulation MADA or either to SRA or to BMC, they would give us additional FSI. The nomenclature in the DCR that it's called additional stroke incentive FSI. So I coined a term called AI-FSI. I started promoting that regulations. I've started promoting those norms very, very vocally across all the industry forums. Subsequently, I interacted with other large corporate developers and started working with their business development teams on this model. Initially, there was resistance that people didn't want to change, people didn't want to accept any new way of working, any new way of evaluation of a project. So I thought I need to be able to convince some large TDR generators to not construct TDR and generate this additional stroke incentive FSI or AI-FSI. During this journey, I did a couple of partnerships, and through those partnerships, I was able to ensure that enough supply got generated. Once supply was generated, it was mandatory on my part to ensure there is adequate demand. And that's where some of the professionals that had worked it in the past, they had moved on to much bigger roles, much larger organizations. I took some retainership mandates from large corporates and started working with their BD and regulatory teams very, very closely and ensured that whatever acquisition they did was very, very methodical. It factored all the regulatory framework decisions, it factored all the financial framework decisions also. And therefore, the feasibility exercises that we used to do were very, very exhaustive. And started adding value to their organizations. They started trusting me much more. To those organizations, once I built comfort, I started pitching them this AI-FSI as a solution to make their projects even more viable, even more profitable. Somewhere I worked bottom up, somewhere I worked top down. Eventually, was able to convince two large corporates. One corporate generated the AI-FSI, the other corporate consumed the AI-FSI. And it was a large path-breaking transaction. And that's where the seed for AWAS as a formidable business model started.
So would you say that AI-FSI, you talked about the uptake of it, there being a little bit of hesitation because, of course, as human beings, we don't want to take something that's very, very new. But can this also help, for example, fill me in over here on stuck projects, on stalled projects, on their revival? Can it also be used as a bridge for that, as a means for that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I've done a couple of such stuck project resolutions myself, and initially in one of the project, I was a customer in the project.
Okay.
And the project had got stalled. There was a local developer, there was a corporate developer, and there were 2 lenders in the project. Me and my wife, we had put our hard-earned money into the project. We went to RERA as an authority. We argued the case ourselves. RERA was kind enough to give us stop work on the project. I took it on as a challenge after I left Vadhva. How do I recover my monies which are stuck in the project as a customer? At the same time, how do I revive this project? That project would be a testament to whether this model can help revive stuck projects or no. And
so that was kind of a test bed for you.
Yeah, test bed for me. Yeah. I used to actually go to site almost every day. So I thought, some new guy only has to come in between to ensure that the bad blood between these 2 developers could get resolved. For any new developer to come in at a stage where there is litigation, there is rent outstanding, there is stuck vendors, there are customers, there are lenders, they wouldn't get into such a murky thing initially. Fortunately, I had some savings over a period of professional journey that I had. My family has been into business of building materials for quite some time. So those savings I put in myself into the project, sold some FSI from the project. That's how we completed the rehab. So that transition from a stuck project to a live project is something that can be achieved through AI-FSI.
If you had to offer some words of advice and wisdom to young entrepreneurs looking to venture out into the real estate industry, what would that be?
There's no replacement to hard work, for sure. You need to be there at the right place at the right time. And a lot of it, I would say the kind of initial leg up or the success that I have got, I would say a lot of things converged at the same time for me.
It's a little bit of luck, but a lot of hard work that goes behind it.
Yeah, a lot of hard work. Each interaction teaches you. Each relationship teaches you. You need to be able to be there. Like my personal hobbies right now, hobbies also have changed over a period of time.
Right.
Reading has been my consistent hobby.
Okay.
Right now I like scuba diving.
Oh, lovely.
So there's a statement which actually Hrithik Roshan made in Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara after doing his scuba sessions along with Katrina.
Yeah.
When they were sitting at the dining table having their dinner, he said, "What did you learn from this? How was the experience?" Katrina asked him.
Yeah.
And he said, "One thing that I learned was, saas lete raho." That's what is my little bit of wisdom to all the youngsters. And I teach at, I used to teach at Narsimha Monjee Institute Real Estate MBA students. A lot of risk-taking appetite, I would say, has come from there. I was in a very, very cushy job actually.
Yeah.
The teaching experience taught me to be able to be calm, to see to it that not everybody is alike. Each one has a different opinion or view. Teaching actually taught me a little bit of more aggression also, because an assignment which I used to give it to them, the way these kids now get solutions, I don't know from where they get information on projects and companies.
They're very enterprising.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, to the T, whatever assignments that I used to give them, many of them were live transactions that I used to work on. And some of this would do actually the same amount of hard work which my team would do it. And I thought the level of teaching, the level of exposure, the level of curriculum depth that some of these institutes have, a lot of professionalism is coming to this industry now.
Very true. That's lovely chatting with you, Mr. Cheda. Learning more about AWAS, the changes you're making in the industry, where you've taken it from, where it's headed. All the best with all future endeavors, and thank you for having this conversation with us.
Thanks a lot.
That then was our conversation with Kunal Chheda and a reimagining of all things real estate, what it is, where it's headed to, and what it can be. I hope you enjoyed this conversation and stay tuned for more such episodes.